Hey guys, Jim Prusak here, physiotherapist at the Pain PT. Today's topic is look for your emotions in everything. Look for your emotions in everything. And I really want you guys to hone in on this emotional brain. I cannot say it enough. It is the part of your brain, if you're going to focus on your brain for healing, it is the part of your brain that creates, produces, you could say, amplifies, and predicts chronic pain. Chronic illness. Okay, so if we're going to focus on the brain level, we're going to work at the brain level for healing, which is what we want to do. We want to target that limbic brain, in particular that amygdala part of your limbic brain. That is the part that's coming out quite strongly in the research that causes and creates the symptoms in your body. Okay, it is also known as the emotional generator of your brain. So that is where the connection between your emotions and your symptoms exists. Now, again, Dr. Sarno was the original person to make this connection without the research, but now we have the research to show that. And we also have the research to show that we can turn off the same physical pain that's generated by the amygdala by turning off the amygdala. So that means if we can turn off these negative emotions or we can process these negative emotions, then that can help to process the pain or reduce the symptom. Okay, so I cannot say it enough, guys. A lot of people avoid emotions. Even myself in my own recovery, it was the last piece I really looked at because I hear all the time people saying, I don't want to, no, I don't journal. I don't look at my emotions. I shy away. Now, that is a human societal thing we do. We seek pleasure, avoid discomfort, and we're not programmed, we're not trained to look at emotions all the way from the way we were raised, through school, through society, is very emotionally averse. People are not freely talking about emotions. If you go down the street and you ask somebody, hey man, how you doing today? Everybody always says, yeah, I'm great, good to see you. Hey, how you doing? Good, good. Nobody says, oh, I'm really angry today. Oh, I'm really sad right now. Hey, I feel ashamed. No, if you say that, no one's going to stop. They're just going to keep on walking, doing their thing. Nobody wants to hear it, number one. And number two, it gets us in trouble. It makes us seem weak. It makes us seem vulnerable. And people just are not emotionally aware. As a society, where our emotional intelligence is way down here, and it's gotten us in so much trouble. And as I tell people all the time, I feel like with this work, I've found the biggest secret left in not only medicine, but the biggest secret left in life. And these are our emotions, guys. This is something, again, it's an undercurrent, these emotions. They run under the radar. They're typically not something that we have right at the front of our mind and are thinking about a lot or talking about a lot. They're behind the scenes, these emotions. Okay, we're trained to think. We're trained to think and do as creatures. And again, we're creatures of habit. We're creatures seeking pleasure and avoiding pain. Okay, but the problem is with these emotions, if we avoid them and we don't pay attention to them and acknowledge them, the problem is they don't go away. They appear to be gone, but again, they're under undercurrent. They're running under the surface, and they will start to make their appearance and pop up to the surface through symptoms, guys, through your symptoms. I talked about this in another video, and I'll say it again because it's really interesting and pertinent. Look, emotions are symptoms. Emotions are symptoms. Why? Because emotions are feelings. Okay, they're feelings first. They're not thoughts. Okay, they're words. We put a word to emotion, but first and foremost, a emotion is a physical feeling or physical sensation in your body. Okay, so you feel it as something. And that's where these overlap with your symptoms exist. Okay, and they're very close to each other. So they're not like we're talking about a far reach here. I mean, they both are something you feel in your body. Now, the topic today, let's get back to the topic because I went off a little bit, but it's about look for these emotions underneath everything. And the reason why I say this is because these emotions drive everything. They drive thoughts, okay? So under the radar are these emotions here. And above them, they pop up and they appear in our thinking. Let's talk about this for a minute. So what do I mean by this? Let's say you're having these catastrophic thoughts. You're having these negative thoughts, worrisome thoughts. Okay, things are going to get worse. What if this happens? On and on and on. About our symptoms, about our life. Okay, what emotion is driving that? Well, fear. Fear is driving those thoughts. Let's say I'm ruminating about something. I'm just spinning it in my head. I'm upset about something. And I'm spinning thoughts and I'm thinking about it and this happened and that happened. Well, what emotion is driving those thoughts? Well, that would be anger. Anger drives rumination. Okay, so you can see how the emotion drives the thought. Now, what we know from the science is chicken or egg. What comes first, a thought or an emotion? Biologically, an emotion precedes thought. An emotion precedes thought. Okay, so an emotion comes before thought. Thought can create more emotion, but biologically, as little kids, neonates, growing up as little children, our emotional brain is way more developed than our cognitive thinking brain. So our emotions precede thought. Another way to think about this is that if a car is about to hit you, your emotional limbic brain kicks in way faster. Boom. And that's the reason why you can jump out of the way of the car in a split second because of fear. All right. Now, if your thinking brain came first, you would say, oh, there's a car coming. And at that point, it'd be too late. You'd be dead. Okay. You wouldn't act fast enough. So the emotional brain is always going to act first. And what it does, offshoots of it, is things like I said, your thoughts come up from this emotional well. Your job is to identify the heart of the thought. What is the thought about? Or we can say the heart of the story. People tell stories about things that happened to them. And some people in my session, they go on and on and on with the story. And I have to step in and go, hey, how did that make you feel? How do you feel about that happened to you? Because the heart of the story is the most important thing. That's the emotion. We want to get to that. Studies show when you get to the heart of it, when you get to the emotion, that's when the amygdala drops down. It doesn't drop down when you state facts. When you state the story, the amygdala is not decreasing its activity. Okay, so emotions show up in thoughts. Where else do emotions pop up? Well, they pop up obviously in your symptoms. That's one thing we've been talking about for a while. They well up, these emotions, and they cause physical sensations and symptoms. Now, the problem is you have to determine, is your symptom physical or emotional? Okay, and once we've ruled out the physical nature, then it's an emotional symptom. And then we want to be thinking emotions again. What emotions are part of this symptom? Okay, now that's a whole nother skill. Now, guys, I'm going to be running a group class if you guys are interested. It's going to start in October. Hop in, join in. I'm going to go over a lot of this stuff, more detail. We're going to practice this for yourself because these are feelings in your body through your symptoms. You want to determine what emotions are you feeling, okay, through somatic work, somatic practice, and determine that for yourself so you can start getting in touch with these emotions. So if you're interested, just check out my website. It's going to be on there. I'm hoping to kick that thing off and keep it running. So turn up, guys. Come to this. It's going to be fun. Once a week, ongoing class, you could say. It's not a course. I'm just getting more in touch with emotions, okay, in relation to everything I'm talking about today, in relation to thoughts, in relation to symptoms. Where else do emotions pop up? Okay, thoughts, symptoms. Well, one of the big things is behaviors, okay? Let's take people-pleasing and perfectionism, or anything else that people do. We do these things because of our emotions, guys. We're driven by our emotions. Okay, why do we people please? Why would somebody do that? Well, we're seeking affirmation, we're seeking attention, we're seeking acceptance, we're seeking love. And we probably didn't get it as a child, we didn't get it in our life, so we overdo it. We really seek it. We become that real overly nice people pleaser person who puts another person first and puts themselves last. And what does that do? That generates anger, guys. It generates a lot of internal rage, as Dr. Sarno talked about. Same thing with perfectionism. When we do that, same thing. And nobody's perfect. You can't be perfect. The more you're trying to control everything and make it right and make it this, it's enraging, okay? It's infuriating. It's frustrating, okay? So it creates anger again because it's really hard to keep everything that way. So we're trying to soften these personality traits because emotions are behind them. Now, behind that anger, again, there's lots of emotions. Behind the anger may exist other emotions. Now, if you're people-pleasing, let's say, and you're not getting what you want, and you're not getting the attention you seek, well, you might try harder, you might people-please more, and that might make you angry that the person's not thinking of you in the same way you think of them. It's not fair. People say it's not fair. That's another sign of that. But at the end of the day, what's going to happen is you're going to start not only getting angry, you're going to start feeling bad. Okay, might start feeling some shame. Eventually, you might start feeling some of the sadness category emotions, because what happens is you don't feel good about yourself unless you are getting that attention. Okay, unless you're practicing that people pleasing. Okay, but it's not a good way to get that feeling of love, you could say. We're seeking that love, but we're avoiding what we're trying to avoid and what we're, again, afraid of. So there's another emotion, fear. We're afraid of what? Being rejected, being abandoned, being alone, not being accepted. Okay, so there's a lot of emotions there. And all these different emotions are going to drive the behaviors that we do. And your job is to see where that shows up in your life each and every day and see if that's a healthy behavior you're doing, or if you need to change that. Okay, and that's part of the recovery for people, is stepping into empowerment, setting boundaries, getting in touch with the emotion of anger, and using it in a very positive way to enact change for yourself. Okay, so that's working with one emotion of anger, also learning to identify, acknowledge, accept, and allow. Those are the words. Other emotions that might be shame and guilt, and blame, sadness, and grief. That's another emotional category. Okay, so you can see there's a lot of emotions here, guys. Fear is an emotion. If we switch gears again, fear, it's going to be about the future. Okay, fear is about something that you're going to do, something that might happen to you, something that might get worse, the symptoms. So you can look for what emotion sits beneath everything. If it's anticipation, that's fear. If it's worry about something happening, it's fear. It's anxiety, it's fear. Okay, so we're looking for what's underneath it. Somebody pisses you off. You don't want to do something. Let's say you don't want to do something. You don't want to go somewhere. You don't want to be part of something. What emotion is that? Anger. Okay, so you can make this connection, and when you do, and you acknowledge that emotion, what happens, guys, in your brain is you're draining the amygdala down. You're draining its activity. Okay, studies show this. If you don't do that, and you're just up in your thoughts, and you're thinking, you're not draining your amygdala. It's staying up here. And maybe it's building and building and building. And then, as Sarno says, reservoir of rage or reservoir of emotions gets overflowed, you get physical symptoms. And this is why we got to drain these emotions through learning how to work with them, guys. They exist everywhere. Again, they are underneath the undercurrent of everything. And so your job and my job as a coach is to teach you guys how to get better in touch with your emotions, emotional intelligence. It's called emotional awareness and expression. It's the number one thing we're doing. And really, guys, you're going to learn a lot more about it if you want to join the course, or obviously get to me one-on-one. We can work very specifically with your condition, what's going on with you in relation to these emotions. We got to not shy away from them. Remember, if you're avoiding something, what emotion is that? Fear. So if you're avoiding your emotions, that means you're afraid of your emotions. Okay, and then you're going to focus on the physical symptoms. It's going to be a distraction, as Sarno says. You're going to be distracted from your emotions by focusing on the physical nature of the symptoms. We don't want to do that. It's a dead-end street. It's a dead end. Not only is it a dead-end street, it blows it up because you're looking at the wrong thing. All right, guys, I hope that was helpful. That was a mouthful of emotions coming out of my mouth around different things, but I just really, really want to hone in and really want to emphasize strongly that emotions is the most important part of the brain that is contributed to physical pain, to physical symptoms. And that's why we really want to hone in on the emotions and focus on them. You get the most bang for your buck there in terms of your healing. All right, guys, until next time, I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.